Hello, I am Andrew Ceco, and we are here at Sideshow Con 2020 with lead sculptor and associate art director Martin Canale. Martin, hello.
Hello, Andrew. How are you?
I'm doing very well. I'm excited to talk to you. How are you?
Very well, and thank you so much for the enthusiastic presentation.
I try my best. I'm really excited to talk with you because you have a massive history sculpting at Sideshow, and I could ask questions forever, but I'll only take a little bit of your time here.
Yeah,
Do you have a favorite sculpture that you've worked on at Sideshow?
I have a few, but my top one is the General Reaper, Demitile. I think is that the way to pronounce?
Yeah, Demethyl, the Risen Reaper General, right?
Exactly. Yeah, that is my favorite.
Yeah, I am a huge Court of the Dead fan. I think everybody knows that. I'm a little obsessed. And you're such a large part of that world, designing that. How do you approach putting story into these figures? Because your figures have a lot of movement and they have a lot of story. How do you design that when you're making it?
Going in direction with the Court of the Dead, originally the General Reaper was outside the story, so that was something Tom created, like an additional piece, and from there he started evolving the Court of the Dead himself. And in relation with your questions, I always love the dynamics and the storytelling in everything. So, like the sculpture is itself is something static. I always try to put something that go behind that just simple static piece. So something very dynamic in relation with the pose, and also telling some story, maybe sometimes in the base, sometimes in the piece itself, like the Court of the Dead piece from the General Reaper. So it's something I really like to try to push out, so people can not only watch a static figure, if not a story in one piece. It's what I try to do, and it's what I enjoy to do.
I think you do an amazing job of it. How did you get started creating art, and how did you become an artist?
That was something like just happened. I mean, I started like myself. I never get any kind of school to study in art. I just start like 12 or 13 years young boy doing some sketch and doing some draw, and but like a hobby. So at some point, I figured out that I was not good enough to doing draws in relation to what I have in my head, and I tried to go a little forward, and I tried to do some little figure, try to project what I have in my head. So I started doing some stuff with the epoxy putty, two components, 10 minutes to do something, and from there, and I like it, and I start doing like a little more deep times applying to there, but I never think that will be a possibility to live for that. So nothing. Time pass. I get a very good friend who was collector of figures and comics, and he introduced me to the owner of a comic shop here in Argentina. And I just bring some of my original stuff that for that time I never get the chance to do any mold or casting, just the originals. And I live there. And with the time, the pieces start selling, and I say, maybe this is a possibility to do something I really like to do to myself and get some money. And that was the beginning.
That's incredible. Do you remember what that very first sculpture was?
Yeah, it was something very, I mean, at that time I was collecting not only, majority was European comics, like Simok, Sonot 84, and many other, European comics, not so much superheroes. So there you have a lot of inspirations in relation with sci-fi, fantasy. So I created my own, creature. Something like anatomically was not good because I don't knew too much about anatomy. So I tried to do some armor, general volumes and stuff. And that was my very first, something like Giger style, some aliens kind. So that was the first one. So yeah.
And you said you made that with epoxy.
Yeah.
How is it different now? Because you don't use epoxy anymore, do you?
I don't use any kind of sculpting material right now. It's all digital, so it's all ZBrush right now. But
yeah, how does that change your process? Did you like moving into digital?
Yeah, very much. I mean, I love it when I did many years working with traditional sculpt, and I start, like I told you, with epoxy. That was, to my personal taste, is my favorite material. But it's hard to work. You need to learn how to work by stage, because you cannot do just one figure in epoxy. The time don't give you the chance. But then I started doing combination between epoxy, super sculpey, then wax. So I started doing some workflow between those and getting very good results. But at the same time, I was using it's very new software called Poser to do, the first ideas for the sketch for the sculpts. So putting the characters in pose, giving that to the artist to do the 3D concepts. So I get some approach to the digital. And many years back, the ZBrush get his first appearance. So I start very try to bring something from the Poser to the ZBrush to give some a little more intention or character to those generic models, and that becomes something like a workflow to create the ideas and designs for the poses. And in parallel, the ZBrush was getting very deep in the industry in relation with the sculpting for creating characters, for animation, for movie, and creating figures. So yeah, at some point, everyone changed to that, and we too.
Okay, last question. I have to know, who is your favorite comic book character?
Oh,
that's a big question.
Yeah, it's Batman. I mean, American heroes is Batman.
Is there a non-American hero we should know about?
The thing is, maybe it's not too much in relation with the character itself. It's more in relation with the story. It's the Metabarones. From Jodorowsky.
I don't know it, but now.
Well, it's the cast of the Metabarons. It's a comic, the story from Jodorowsky, and the original draws was by an Argentinian artist that passed away sometime a few months back. And that was a really interesting story to go. So that character is very interesting.
Can you tell us the name of that one more time?
Yeah, it's the cast of the Metabarons. In Spanish it's La Casta de los Metabarones, right? I don't know if that is the translation to the English. And his writer is Jodorowsky, and his drawer is Juan Jimenez. He's an Argentinian artist who living in Spain, and he just passed away a few months back when he get the coronavirus. So it was a very sad. I am a big fan of his art, and that was a sad.
Yeah. Well, Martin, thank you so much for joining us. It's been incredible getting to know you and a little bit more about your process.
Thank you so much. Wish you the best for the next.
Yeah, and thank you, everybody in the audience, for watching this Sideshow Con 2020 interview. For more content, just stay tuned. And as always, don't forget to let your geek side show.